doing it.
No, I thought I was too, but here we are. We're live now. You
We
guys,
are.
everybody, thank you for watching. You totally missed the introduction because I thought that I had hit the go live. Rachelle knew that I hadn't hit the go live, and she just, yeah. So
I
it's
didn't
great to
know
be
until just then.
trying to do pushing too many buttons. That's what happens. Thank you, everybody. It's kind of getting close to Friday. Hopefully, when your Friday happens, you'll be celebrating with your family or doing whatever you choose. Having an easygoing time. Today is a wonderful day. First of all, I want to congratulate the beautiful and wonderful Rachelle Dene Poth for dropping her 59th title yesterday. Now I have a song I want to sing to you, and I'm gonna do it right this time. Happy book
Okay.
birthday to you. Happy book birthday to you. Happy book birthday to you. For things I wish new.
Yay. You're the best at singing. I love when you sing happy birthday. I do. And
Actually,
when
it's
there's
so
string.
goofy. It's goofy, but
It's perfect.
how are you feeling 24 hours after your book launched, your 59th
Yeah.
title?
After the 59th book launch. No, it's been great because there's so much excitement around the book with all the people who contributed stories and just seeing the post. And I've had a lot of people sending messages, screenshots. Mel in Colombia has been reading it on her Kindle, and she's like Andrew Easton's portion that she read today. And I forget who else. Oh, Sydney from Tennessee. She read hers and was just sharing it out. So it's really exciting to see that happening by people, or well, people who are reading it and and sharing what they're reading, and like, wow, yeah, I wish I knew that, or I felt the same thing. Or the flip side too is it's people who have written stories in it that are getting their hands on copies of the book, or they're just excited because the book is finally here and sharing it out. So it's been a lot of fun because when you write a book, like, you're excited because you hold the book in your hands, but then whenever you have a book where there's a lot of other people involved in it and you can share in that with them, it makes such a big difference. So I'm just thankful for everybody, like, in all aspects of getting this together. Big project, which I enjoyed, but
Yeah,
I kind of got a system down for it now. So we'll see how
you
that goes.
should.
But
For your
yeah.
60th book, it'll be like taking 5 minutes. But yeah, I mean,
But that one's
what?
done. No, I'm
Hey,
kidding.
Monica, so glad that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
joining. Yes, congrats. So I was going to ask a question. It was really good, and then it came and it went. I hate when that happens.
That's okay.
But like, what is probably the biggest change? Like, you've written quite a few books, but what is different about this one that you feel like
Yeah.
I didn't
That's a
prep you for
great
that?
question.
I
No,
know, you
not at
can think
all.
about it. I'm
No,
sorry, it's just in my mind.
yeah. Well, I mean, the first three that I wrote at the same time, two of those three had like individual, like a couple people wrote a chapter, and then there were vignettes mixed throughout them. And I didn't realize how big those projects were because they were at the same time. But I loved those because it involved other people's stories, which I found
Mhm.
to be like, I really like sharing people's stories, but it helped me to be better at sharing my own. But then with this book, just the number of educators that are in it, and the fact that there's so many different backgrounds, experiences, roles in education, years in education, there's just so much to learn. And I love the cover of it, and I love that it's a
Mhm.
book that anybody can read, and you can apply the lessons in it to whatever line of work is, or even thinking about, I mean, daily interactions that we have with people, the messages that are in there, like the power of relationships and mentoring and risk taking, and of taking a break when you need it. I mean, there are so many different
Mhm.
themes in it that, like, pulling them all in and figuring out how to break it down, it was a challenging part for me because I want to do it right. But I love everything that's in it. And it's just, I don't know,
Hold
it
it
just makes
up.
me happy. Hold it up. Okay.
Yeah.
There it is.
There
Yeah.
you go. I like just I wanted to match
I
it. So
know
that is
you
so
can't
cool.
tell. I kind of do a little bit. I have a blue shirt on, but I do have to say, like, I talked to Scott Noons, who was looking at it, and he said, I have to say, this might be my favorite cover. He's like, I don't know. And
Oh,
I said,
no.
yeah, I really like this cover, but I also like the first one with the cat too, because my student did it. So anyway, that's where I am today. So I'm excited for today because our guest has been doing a lot of writing, is involved in a lot of different things, and contributed to this book also. So
Oh,
yay.
good. Awesome. All right. Well, introduce us to Miss Livia Chan.
All right.
I'll
So
pull
I'm
her up.
gonna.
You tell us. Yeah,
Okay.
tell us
All
more.
right. All right. So Livia is involved in a lot of different things. You could see on her banner, she is a head teacher, an author, a speaker. You get involved in so many, like, I wish we had met in person one of these days, hopefully, but I feel like I've known you for a really long time just because we've interacted so much in all these different spaces. So you do a lot of work, I know, with Teach Better team, and you've been writing a lot, and you have your project that you're working on. You took time to share and dive into mine as well. So just excited to have you here today and learn what you're up to and learn more about you. So welcome.
I'm so excited to be here, and thank you so much for your time and for offering this opportunity for me to join you and help you celebrate your book too. It's so exciting anytime that one of my friends has a new book published, and with when I looked at the lineup of who also contributed to this, it was like name after name after name
I
after
know.
name, and I knew so many people on that list, and it was just so exciting. And as we were sharing out that it's the launch day was yesterday, just seeing how many people were excited and being tagged, it was just like, oh, I can't wait to read your writing, and I can't wait to
I know.
read your story. I can't wait. There's so many. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's I was pulling out my notes and things because, like, the first time that I did the first couple of books, I used a spreadsheet like I did with this one, and but then I'm like, wait, how do I divide this up and how do I put it into the book? And so I went through and I have like 10 pages where I'd write down person's name and what their thing they wish was, and does it fall into a category, and then I scrapped all of that and went back and did it again. But you're right, like just seeing those, and I fell a little bit behind on Twitter in the last few days with some of the notifications. I've been catching up, but it is exciting to see people holding the book in their hands and just excited to read and learn about each other. And I think that's the one thing that I appreciate is we could have been friends with people, work with people, or just our PLN, and feel like we really know them and say, oh yeah, I've heard their stories. But then you read something that's in this book or in any book where people have shared these stories, and you're like, gosh, I had no idea. And somebody sent me a message last night and said, they're about a third of the way through the book, and just things that, like, I shared, like I really share a lot in this book. Like the whole vulnerability thing is like, 3 years ago, yeah, I'm not writing about that, but we all were, and you have to do that so that we help other people. So it is exciting to see all of this, and to see people excited about it too, because some people that wrote had never written even a blog before. And, there's that discomfort, like, well, what if I don't write the right thing? Or what if people take this the wrong way or anything? And so I don't know. I like all of it. So
Yeah, and there's something about that courage that you have to give yourself and
mhm,
just be okay with your story being pushed out there. And it's what I found is that people that read your story, there's bound to be somebody that it resonates with and that you're helping through your story. And there's just such power of sharing a part of who we are. And it's almost like a gift, right? Like I see it as a
mhm.
gift that you are offering a part of who you are to others, and it invites connection and it invites a deepening of relationships. And that's what I find is a beautiful part of sharing your stories with other people and to read other people's stories. So yeah, it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And Mel, I didn't want to, I was like, I didn't want to cut you off there for a second, but I'm glad that you put the importance of stories, because that is, again, something that I didn't often do. And Melody, did you have anything that you wanted to add in? Because I feel like I'm talking so much.
I love it that you're talking. I love it. Like, just keep talking. But I love all the yes. People are saying inspires more to tell their own stories. Totally agree. I'm looking forward to reading more of these stories. I think this will be a great read over winter break. And sometimes the things I like about your books, Rochelle, is that you don't necessarily have to read it all from front to back. Like, it's not like a romance novel where you have to read it all in a weekend or anything. You can just read a chapter and it can inspire you. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. And is Dr. Harvey coming on later? Did he contribute to the story?
Um, no, not in
Okay.
this one. Yeah.
All right. He says, looking forward to writing an edu book on the importance of stories and science from indigenous
Yeah.
perspectives. Yes. He is like, I didn't know if you know this, but Dr. Harvey is huge in China. So
Really?
yes. Yeah, he's huge. He's like
I
his
I
books,
did
he's
not
sold
know that.
many books in China. But I love everything that you all are saying. And Livia, did you just do something pretty amazing with your own story? I heard.
Well, I have a lot of opportunities to share my story. Recently, in the beginning of December, I had an opportunity to present at a couple conferences in the States. Um, and I got to just share a lot of stories in my presentation about, in my role in the classroom and uh, the different ways that I meet the needs of all different learners. And uh, yeah, it was all these opportunities that I've been given have been such a blessing because, I've learned so much from, you and other people that I follow, and to be able to share my stories with other people through my presentations has just been such an honor and a blessing. So I was really excited to do that for the first time.
Yeah, and I checked out your blog, and I feel like I read one that you actually talked about like our words are gifts, and
Yeah.
it's so important to share the story because like when I first started a blog years ago, first of all I was like, oh, I'm going to be a blogger. This probably goes back 6 years. I didn't even know what blogging, like the word, I didn't know where the word came from. It just sounded like a really cool thing to do. And then I thought, well, what am I going to write about? And I tell this story a lot. I think I might have written about it, how the very first blog that I wrote was for SurveyMonkey, which people were like, SurveyMonkey? How'd that happen? And it was because I was taking students to doing presentations at conferences too, but I was taking students to some conferences, and I had used SurveyMonkey to do like quick quizzes or check-ins or anything like that. And I had written to them and I said, hey, I'm going to do a presentation on, like assessment tools or feedback tools or, entrance tickets. And do you have any like stickers or a logo or something that I could just display? Like, because my laptop was covered with them. So then they sent me, well, they said, hey, would you write a blog about it? And I said, well, how long? And they said between 500 and 700 words. I was like, oh my gosh, like, how am I ever going to do that? And what am I going to write about? So I did that. And then they sent me like a box of flying monkeys, which was awesome until they realized you could take, and they made really awful, like loud noises. But that was the first time I did that. And so after that point, I started to just write for Teach Thought. Terry Hike would just post them, and it was like, this is what I'm doing in my classroom. And that's how I got into it. And then I realized, so if I'm just helping like one person or a few people, so that I began, and I find, a lot of the people that are writing, there is that hesitancy, like, well, what would I write about? Well, what are you doing? And start there. Or what is something that you want to learn about? Which is how I got into these other areas that I kind of pushed myself to learn about, like artificial intelligence, and to challenge ourselves and then just share what you're learning, because somebody out there will benefit from that information. And if not, then it's great for you as a reflective practice to write about what you're doing in your classroom or what you're experiencing. So
Yeah, for
totally
sure.
love that.
Yeah. And, I feel like I am the teacher I am today because of all the learning that I've done from all the blogs that I've read and the articles and the books and the podcasts and all the different presentations. And I've learned from so many people. And I just think if the people that I learned from didn't share, I wouldn't be the teacher I am today. So, you mentioned the gift of words, and I really I've in the last year and a half, I've just discovered that there are gifts everywhere, all around us. And the more that we can see simple things as gifts, the more we feel gratitude and the more we have to appreciate all around us. And to me, that's like such an important part of my own well-being in terms of seeing things as gifts. And words is one of them. So, when I think about gifts that I receive from students, winter break is usually a time that students will give you gifts and whatnot. And, I really appreciate the physical gifts. This mug is one of them, and the inside it says love. But it's the words that I receive from other people because they're carefully chosen for you. Somebody sat down to think, what am I going to say to you? And so all those wonderful cards that, especially the kids make themselves, and then what they write on there. I had a kid that wrote on the Christmas card, I love you. And it was just like, it's heartwarming what they choose to write to you. And in the
Yeah.
same sense, books that we have that we either contribute to, like your book or other books or a blog post, those are gift of words that you are sharing, a part of who you are with other people. And when I receive them, I see them as gifts. And there's one of my colleagues. She came in. She was struggling with a student, and just came in. She's like, "I come bearing no gifts, no coffee, coffee card or anything, but I just wanted to share my appreciation." And I said, "You know what? Your words mean so much to me. I see words as gifts, and so that sometimes it's just so important to share our appreciation and through our words, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I love that. I love hearing about like the gifts and things from students and the words. And just even today, like I don't typically get a lot of gifts from students. I mean, I teach high school, I mean, some of the parents will send things in, or they'll send in like cookie trays or lunch and things like that. But you're right, like it's the words that make a difference. But today I did get two gifts from some of my students. One wrote a card and just said that it was like the highlight of his day, the favorite class. And I was like, oh, really? And gave me some Andes mints, which always good, chocolate, great way to go. But one of my earlier classes, we have a connection with students in Argentina that I've been connected with their teacher for probably 4 or 5 years now. And so we use Flipgrid and they go back and forth. So about 6 weeks ago, we were going outside because they were loud and they're recording videos and they were having all kind of fun. They're doing selfies. So today they come in and they give me a gift, and they took the picture, they had it printed, and they put it in a frame, and then they all signed it. And it was just like the sweetest thing. I was like, really, and it just those two things, like one, just their faces and their signatures, and then the card and what was written in it was really, really sweet that they did that. And even just kids at the end of the day too, just stopping in and just saying, thanks for everything. Hope you have a great break. You deserve rest. And I could hear it in the halls too, between, students and students, teachers and students, and teachers and teachers. So, yeah, so it was nice.
So special. And, it's something that I really believe in. And so on the Teach Better team, my partner, Carrie Pitstick, and we created actually an online course to help people hone their message if they're doing writing, or whether they want to write a book one day or whatnot. But the course is just all about writing strategies. And these are kind of tried, tested, and true strategies that I actually use with my own students for years. And I've actually, because I was part of staff development before in learning technologies. So I did presentations for our staff and across the district. And some of these ideas are just to help teach teachers what they can teach their students in the classroom. And, we just talked about things to consider before you write, while you write, and after you write. And then the last piece of, after you have something published, like how do you market your work? So some tips and strategies for that too. But it's something I just really believe in. And if this course can help some people kind of get over that hurdle of, okay, what do I write? How do I write? What do I consider? We're all going to be better for it, right? Just because they're hopefully it gives them the courage to share their story, so we can learn from each other.
Yeah, definitely. What was the difference between the experience between like writing for George Cure's book, I Can't Talk, and Rachelle's for you?
What was the difference? I think, when it comes down to writing and contributing to a book, I love the updates. So that, I'm going to talk about what's similar first is, the updates of, well, where are we at in the process of this book being published? And so anytime we got those updates, it's like really exciting because, after you submit your chapter or your writing, you just kind of, don't really know where you're at with things. And so those are always really exciting to receive and just to kind of get those updates. And then I know like Rachelle's book just came out, so but like being able to connect with other authors, I think has been a really cool aspect of being involved in George's book. When we first did the launch, I helped Paige, his wife, and Lainey. We kind of did a launch on using StreamYard, and so it was really fun to just have people on the screen, like you did, and I think just different opportunities to connect afterwards, because now you kind of feel like you're connected, right? Like, wow, we're both we're contributing authors to the same to the same book, and so one of the things that we did is, or George did, is he created a Twitter list with all the authors, and so it's really easy for me to just follow, and I click on that list and I can see what all the other authors are doing, and just liking and retweeting what they're sharing out, and it's almost like we're now connected, right? So I love that part of it, because there's some people that I didn't really know that well, right? And I've seen on your list of contributors, I don't know some of the people, so I'm really looking forward to reading their story and just starting to follow them, right? So it just expands the number of people that I can connect with and build relationships with.
How did you guys, like, Rachelle, when you are trying to get contributors to your books, how do you do it, and how did George do it? I'm just curious.
Rachelle?
Yeah, I had to unmute. It's like amateur right here. Why am I not talking? Yeah, so when I did the first couple of books where I had people join in, like the 4 o'clock faculty group on Voxer, like that was one space where I said, I remember it being in the summer, and I said, I'm looking for people who might be interested in writing something, sharing a story. I don't know what it's going to look like, but if you're interested, and just, some of these details, like whatever, send me a side box. So then I put together a Voxer group. And then I spent a lot of time putting together a document outline that said, this is what I'm writing. I'm looking for some like individual chapters, some vignettes of this length. This is what the story is about. And I actually had the 2. But the way that I did those first 2 books was well, the first one was based on quotes. And so I had quotes, a long list of quotes in the form, and I had people pick which ones kind of resonated with them and it pushed their thinking. And then based on that drove it into one of the 2 books, In Other Words or The Future Is Now. And then put those together. And then I also did post on Twitter, like, hey, I'm writing these. If anybody's interested, here's the topics. And some people did messages. Now for this one, and true story, actually last year too, same thing. These 2 at the same time, I used the same form, had the same information, both prompts, to see which one, if not both, resonate. I do have some people that have written in like all of the books, vignettes, the true story lessons that we taught us from last year, and then this one. And I have some people who wrote a story 2 years, actually some people who've written like 3 or 4 vignettes in this book, because there were just so many things like I wish teachers knew, students knew, parents knew, administrators knew. And, I put them all in because they were just, I was like, yeah, like I wish that I knew this, or others need to know this. And it was just going through and, like the whole process, reading, finding where they fit. And that's what I chose to do, which is how it got to be 50 people. So.
So awesome.
Did you have more? Did you cut it down, or did you just take anybody who wanted to be a part of it?
Yeah, there were some that just didn't end up fitting into. There were a couple that just didn't fit into that then, I had a conversation and they ended up being used like a blog post. And then there were some that a few wrote and decided to kind of pull it back, just for whatever reason. They said, I thought about this and I don't know if I really am ready to share this yet. So it's like, okay, but if you ever decide you want to, whether it's a book or a blog, let me know. So.
I like that you said that. I remember the first book that I contributed to, and really that got me in. And that's why I asked both of you that question, is because like this is kind of the entryway into writing your own book when you haven't ever even thought about doing that before. And I remember when writing for Mandy Fralick's, help me out. It's right behind me. The Fire Within.
The Fire Within, yeah.
Yeah, it was healing to write a lot of stuff that I'd never really talked about with a lot of people. Did you guys find that too? Like your words, like writing it out was healing in a way, or just therapeutic?
Oh yeah, every time I write, I actually take a long time to write. I know some people can type it all out, but for Rachelle's, I probably took a good at least 12 hours. It doesn't look like 12 hours of work, but I like to mull things over, right? And to me, every single word it's there for a reason. And so I write, and then I leave it, and then I come back, I read it over, and I think, how else can I say this? And, so it does take me a long time. Even my blog posts that I have published on Teach Better, like some of them takes me 10 to 12 hours, even though it doesn't look like that, right? But yeah, I think it's very, my thoughts and my words are very intentional, and it doesn't go without a lot of thought.
I mean, I wouldn't know, like, if I'm the same way, like some pieces, especially when they're really important, they do take a long time. I've never really thought about how long it took somebody to write, but I agree. Like when something's important and you go over it, you take a break. I think that's one of the best strategies for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rachelle, so we've got some guests. Are we ready to bring them up?
I know. Yeah, we want to bring them up for sure, and keep on talking. So
do you want me to bring? So it's okay if I could just pull people up.
I'll let you just start pulling people up. Yep, we'll pop up on the screen.
Hey everybody!
Look at that. So we got Brad and we got
oh my gosh, we got more
JC.
people.
I know.
Yes. I'm gonna bring them up. You talk, and I'll bring the people up.
Okay. Oh, look who else I got! And so it's all exciting. There's Debbie. Look at this.
I feel like we're like Brady Bunch.
The Brady
I
Bunch.
know.
That's
It's
the
like
way we became. Okay, sorry.
And it reminds me of my memories. Like today on Facebook, it popped up our holiday celebration from last year, like the picture of all of us. So it's good to be with everybody and everybody joining in. And so welcome. I don't know. Well, actually, we should probably start with Livia just to say, what was your story that you shared, or what's the theme in your story that's in the book? Or if anybody needs help with that, I could.
I need help right here. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. Don't put me on the spot. I do not remember at all.
I won't put you on the spot, but you can
What?
share.
You don't remember what you wrote? Is that what
I don't
you
even
just
remember
said?
what you know how I am with food. I don't even remember what I ate last week. So it's bad. It's bad.
That's just pure crazy.
I like your hair. Your hair's doing it, Mel. Are you living your best life?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, don't get me started. Okay.
So funny.
I'm sorry. Okay. So our guests are here. Do you guys want to take a minute and tell us about your stories? All right. Who wants to go first? I can pick you if you want me to.
Pick Desmond.
Yes, Caroline. That's not
no,
nice.
Desmond. I want to pick Brad. Brad, it's nice to meet you. I know I follow you on Twitter. Tell us about your story.
Great to meet all of you too, and great to be involved in this project. This project resonates me from the inside out. And my story was about learning the difference between stress behavior and misbehavior. Boy, that's a lesson I wish I'd learned long ago. I think about the students that I responded to who were in distress, and I used a punitive or a consequence model. And now that I know better, I look at student behavior as communication, and I look at student behavior as an opportunity to try to identify the stresses that we may or may not see, that the student may or may not be able to articulate, and being stress detectives. And that was a key and probably the most powerful piece of professional learning that I've ever done. It would have served me really well as a classroom teacher, and now it's serving me really well in the school leadership role. So I was excited to be able to share that story with all of you and with our readers. And like I said, just the opportunity to help others through what we've learned is truly resonant for me. So thank you all.
Brad.
Wow, that is really powerful. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Brad, I remember when I read yours, I was like, yes, because I think it was in the True Story book, but there was a student that I had written about years ago. Like I was responding to the behavior without knowing the background story for years. I mean, that was just my reaction. And I remember on a Friday afternoon, the first time, the student, I knew all the background story behind the student, but I didn't really know the student. And we sat down, we did a crossword, I think, or maybe it was a word search together. And the student left and then actually transferred schools. And I didn't get to see that student after that. But I remember walking out of the library that day, and I was like, and I talked to a friend through Boxer, of course. I was like, it was just weird. And they're like, what? And I said, I don't know. I said, I just had this weird kind of feeling. And I said, I feel like the first time I actually saw the student, not the behavior. Like I just was engaged in that conversation. And I said, I really wish that I would have taken the time. Not that I didn't take the time, but I really wish I would have had the opportunity sooner. And then I didn't have the opportunity. And so I had written about that. But when I read your story, I thought, gosh, that's something I wish I knew before I had that experience. But it's so true for so many years. You know, how many times any of us have acted to like it's behavior, which sometimes it is the behavior, but like there's sometimes also other things that are kind of causing that. And it comes down to the relationships. And so your story is definitely powerful. And I know a lot of people are going to read it and be like, yeah, I wish I knew that before.
Yeah.
But I know it now. I know it now. So thank you for sharing.
I appreciate that. And that's the key. And that's what you said, Rachelle, in your foreword, is that now that we know it, we can either dwell on it and wish we'd known it or wish we'd used it sooner, or we can share our stories forward and help others learn from what we've learned too. And I think it just solidifies the message that we're constantly learning. We serve learning organizations. We serve kids first and foremost. So the opportunity to contribute to this kind of a project, Rachelle, like I said, it just really resonated with me. Really grateful for the opportunity to connect this way.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Brad.
I'm gonna and I love that. I'm gonna say we have a couple more guests come up. So Rachelle, I'm gonna pull them up and you can introduce them, and then we'll continue talking about our stories.
Oh my goodness. I think we need to I think we should go across and just everybody say their names right now. Starting with you, Mel. Because you're first, right? You're on the top left.
Okay. I'm Melody.
I'm Rachelle.
I'm Livia.
I'm JC.
I'm Brad.
Joe Fay.
Hey, Pamela Hall here.
Debbie Tannenbaum.
You're gonna have to yell, honey.
Debbie, yeah. Desmond.
Debbie.
Desmond Hasty. Sorry, I didn't hear the other lady, so I didn't want to like jump over it. Sorry. Okay.
All right. It's not
Debbie,
roll
yes.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to yell. I have to yell sometimes, so
Okay.
I feel
Did
for
you
you.
hear me?
Tannenbaum.
Okay.
Debbie
Yes.
Tannenbaum is here. All right.
Oh, good. And we have one more person. Introduce yourself,
Julian.
friend.
Hi.
Hey, Jillian.
Hello.
What's your name?
Sorry I'm late. Phew. I'm here.
You're not
Yes,
late.
Jillian, that's great. Okay, so who else wants to? Dr. JC, do you want to talk about your story?
Sure. Mine. So I was a former school administrator and district level administrator, and mine was really focused on things that I wish the teachers knew. I like to visit classrooms. So as an elementary principal, as an assistant superintendent, I would always be in classrooms, always walking the halls, talking to kids. And when I started in a new school district, me visiting classrooms made people uneasy. Former administrators didn't do that. And so when I showed up in people's doorways, they were very hesitant. Like, why is she here? What is she looking for? You know, was this a game of gotcha? And that's so not my way. I go into classrooms because I love kids and I want to talk to them and see what they're working on and see what they're struggling with. And I like to see teachers in their element, right? I mean, teachers, I learn as an administrator, I learn from teachers. Mm-hmm. And so my story was really just about the fact that I wish teachers knew that when I come into their classrooms, I want to learn from them. And sometimes I visit their classrooms because my day is god awful and I want a little bit of goodness. And sometimes being in there with teachers and with the kids is the best part of my day. And I think so often, you know, if you flip the script on the other side, I think teachers are like dreading it. Like, oh my God, she's at my door again. And that's the best part of my day, being able to be with kids and sit alongside teachers and learn from them. So that's my story.
I love that story. And I can relate as a teacher to when you see the administrators coming, you're like, oh my goodness, you know, like whatever. Like it just happened like this week. We were playing a game of Blue Kit and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, should I stop? Do I look like I'm teaching? And, you know, it's like, but they don't ever, it's so hard for them to get out of the office and the meetings and everything and to get into the classrooms. And they just want to see the kids. They want to see you. They want to see what learning looks like. So when I read your story, I was like, Oh, so that's the reason. So,
And I don't
it-
think enough that I don't think people, leaders, I don't think they say that enough. Like, look, I'm not coming to like catch you doing the wrong thing. I don't care if you're on page 56 or on page 86. Like,
Right.
I just want to see the good things that are happening in your space. And I think as administrators, we need to communicate that a bit more often so that teachers can go, oh, like it's normal that they're here. This is my leader of my school, and I want them to know what I'm doing. So I think that that line of communication can open a bit more, and I think that would benefit everybody.
Agree. Thank you. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I just want to say, JC, what you said just so resonated with me, and thank you, Brad. And I'll say a couple of things before I share mine. But it reminds Brad, what you shared reminds me of what Jody Carrington has said in one of her things that she shared with George Couros, is that we often think of students with the behavior as attention seeking, but she says that it's connection seeking. And just flipping that switch of thinking, okay, this child wants to connect in whatever way that, is coming out in what we typically would see as behavior. But when we flip the script in our mind and we see that as connection seeking, then it's like, okay, my heart is yours. Let's figure out what it is that you need. And I started doing that is when kids, because I'm head teacher too, so I do work in the office as well. And one of my first things, okay, well, let's figure out what you need, and just listening, right? And then JC, what you said, it's like that's one of my favorite things too. Is like, especially walking into a kindergarten class. Oh my goodness, there's so much joy and so much love, and it's like you don't want to leave, but. Yeah, so it's so important, that message that you share. My chapter, or not chapter, my vignette is things I wish parents knew. And the one thing that I would like parents to know is that everything we do is with intention. That there isn't, for me anyway, every little interaction that I have with students, everything that I do from the morning start of standing to say hello and greeting every child with a big smile and saying their names, and from that morning flex time where they're just settling in and they get to read or play games or whatever it is that they want to kind of settle into the day. And every interaction that I have with each student is with intention, and down to how I teach, and everything. And so it's just kind of sharing that piece that we do take a lot of thought and consideration into how do we reach the students that we have, and how do we expand our love for them, and and with them, so that they learn about themselves, learn about their strengths, and how we empower them. Like, just the whole, when I step into that classroom, everything is done with intention.
Love that story too. Just reading, and I think yours might have been the first one that was focused more towards like parents, and like, okay, now I got another section I got to work with. So, but then there were more coming in. There was some that there was like an overlap too. So I think that was one of the points where I was like, do I need to divide this into like 2 books because I have all this? And I'm like, no, like we're all in education and we have these different roles. And so why not? So I was glad that you shared that. All right. So thank you. All right. Who's next?
I'll go.
Oh.
So mine was actually a story of what I was going through as an administrator behind the scenes. So I truly do resonate with what you said about just walking into a classroom and teachers are like, well, what my staff didn't know is I was going through something here in our home with our youngest child. He was self-harming. And so in a brand new state and brand new everything, and I'm trying to be there for the staff, and the staff not knowing that I'm crumbling inside. And so the thing that I believe what I spoke about was I learned from my son how to be a better administrator that absolutely understood grace with accountability. You can love your staff through it, You still have to hold them accountable, but you can still see the whites of their eyes. And I've learned how to help staff continue to teach and do what they need to do, even though, you know, they have a baggage when they bring it in. And I know we tell people leave the baggage at the door. No one knows how to do that. You know, we're human. And so I've just learned to be that kind of an administrator that prefers joy with productivity, love my staff through it. And I'm very transparent about my own things. But that was the story that I shared. And it was a difficult thing for us to go through. But looking back on it now, my son gave me permission to share the story because he said, you're always allowed to share my story if it's going to help somebody else become better. And so that's why I shared the things I wish I knew, that, you know, we go through things too.
Oh yeah. Mal, I don't know if you were muted or you're going to say something. No. And then one thing I want to say about your story too, like there are a lot of stories. I mean, there's some that make you laugh or you roll your eyes. You're just like, oh my goodness. And there are some that really pull at your heartstrings, like, and you don't realize. And I have some other friends who are administrators that I know have been going through a lot of like really personal things, whether, you know, family issues or personal challenges, health conditions, things like that, that in this past year have opened up more and shared that, because otherwise, you know, it just shows, I mean, you're vulnerable, but like for people to know, like we all have these things going on and we're here to support one another. So your story, even just listening to you talk about it now, I'm still getting chills because I remember the first time I read it. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right. Pam?
Okay, all right, I'll go. So first, I just have to say I'm geeking out right now, like at all of you. I was like, this is so cool that you brought us together, Rachelle.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I didn't know that my story was going to be with all of you people that I just admire. So yes, I'm geeking out a little. Okay, so get to my story. So my story was for anyone just beginning their journey in education. It was for the brand new teacher. And I really wanted the brand new teacher to know that we are ill prepared in college, even today, for all the emotions that we are going to absorb from our students and the emotional roller coaster that we're on day in, day out, and how to deal with that, because nobody talks about teacher SEL. And I just talk about in my first year of teaching, I started a class 2 weeks in, which everyone knows that's already hard because the substitute started that. And what I wish I knew about that, one of my students was 12 years old, an alcoholic. Another student, she was being abused. And I had to go to court for that. And then another instant, a student slandered another student. The family thought I did it. And I had to go to court. And all while I had helped that child and tutored that child and being fearful. I was only like halfway in my very first year and all this happened. And it was just so taxing emotionally, and nobody prepares you for that. Nobody prepares you for a parent yelling in your face when all you've done is help their child. And so that's what my chapter is about, really helping them understand your emotions. And now there's a name for it. It's called compassion fatigue. So we burn out when we hold all those emotions. So I just want all new teachers to know, grab a hold of a mentor and it may not be the one assigned to you. Look for someone who's doing what you want and then go grab them and cling tightly to them. And then the other advice that I had for the new teachers is that we all, even I, can continue getting trauma-informed training so we can help guide our students through those tough things. And that will help our hearts. But it's 100% hard work. And we say it, but until you live it, you don't know it.
Yeah. No, college did not prepare me for what I walked into. I mean, initially, but just even over the years. But I loved the beginning of your story because it just started with humor and just how you were like, okay, I got out of college and I'm ready to go and take on, change the world, do these things. But you didn't know what was waiting for you behind that classroom door. And how do you prepare for that? Like, you do have to, it's really such a big investment of like, who we are. And you said like your heart work, like teaching is hard work, but it's heart work. So definitely. And your story, I know people are going to read, be like, gosh, I wish I would have learned this lesson too after college, but now they're going to know. So thank you for sharing that. All right, Debbie, you ready?
I'm ready. Can you hear me this time? Okay, good. So my story, and I'm also geeking out, considering a little over a year ago, Jillian and Rachelle started me on my book journey too. So like, wow. My stories of things that I wish parents knew. And, many of us are lucky that we're parents and we're educators. So we see both sides of we see it from both sides, but many people don't. And I think that's even more relevant right now than it was when I wrote this, because we went through periods where teachers were heroes, and then we went through periods where teachers were villains. And really understanding what teachers do, people don't understand what teachers do. They don't understand how it is hard work and hard work. They don't understand the true dedication it takes and all that's involved in it. They just see what's on top of the iceberg and they don't see what goes on underneath. And I think that it's just so important. Even like I said, even more so now than it might have been when I wrote it, because I don't think people understand. And right now, teachers are working harder than ever with sub shortages and, with kids getting sick in different environments. And we just, really helping people to understand that, this is what I wish parents knew, because I don't think a lot of them understand it. Because unless you've been in someone's shoes, it's hard to understand it. You just don't know. So.
Right. Yeah. And I loved with yours, like you have this list of things and it's just like it pushes people to think, obviously, but it comes down to like, there has to be a partnership of us and the parents and everybody that's in the school, and understanding where, what our experiences are, where we're coming from, and developing empathy, because like we may not know, and until we don't have the conversations, we don't have the communication. So yeah, another great lesson, for anybody, not just specific to parents, but for educators to realize the importance of that communication and fostering that home to school connection and family engagement. So thank you. So do I go to Jillian or do I go to Desmond? No. Well, you gotta point the other way, but because there's nobody next to you on that side. So just say, I'm gonna throw that out. All right, Jillian.
All right, I'll go. Well, Rachelle, thank you so much for having us be part of this, and just to elevate our voices, because I think we all know, and we're all in the same professional learning spaces together, and we just are just so grateful for the opportunity to be able to share, because if we, even just one person understands what we're going through and understands our stories, I think it's worth it. My story was based on being a teacher and a mom. So, and again, that joy resonates with me too, because I really wish I had known not to put so much stress on myself as a teacher and a mom. I knew I expected myself to be perfect. I expected everything to go by the book. I wanted my students to be, you sit in your seat and you do your work and you turn it in and I give you a grade and all is well. And, let's just do life like that. And it just didn't work out so well as a teacher. That was not who I was really, what was in my heart. So yeah, so the more I invested in the heart work and the more I invested in learning from others around me, I had made the transition to teaching later on in my career. So I had not formally had the training and formally had internships and things like that, where I had learned from other administrators and other teachers with experience. So I was kind of on my own island. But the thing that I learned the most from was my own son. So he struggled all through school, has ADHD, dyslexia, has recently been diagnosed as an adult with autism spectrum disorder. So, that now all putting all those pieces together, that's made me into the teacher I am today and the educator I am today, because we had to bring him home at one point, and I had to homeschool him. I did not want to leave my job. I loved my students. I loved my school. But I did what was best for my family, and it was the best years of my life. My son thrived. We as a family became close knit. Our learning was in no way traditional. It was very untraditional. It was almost unschooling. He did his best work sitting on the back of a horse and, in a meadow and reading science and doing science experiments. So just the joy that it brought our family really helped me transform as an educator. Yes, exactly, Desmond. I mean, it was absolutely, we just followed our hearts. When I went back into the classroom after my son graduated, I was a different teacher. I loved my students. I let them have the freedom that they needed to, sit underneath my desk if you need to learn underneath my desk, or sit on the floor, or, do what you need to do, put your headphones on. And it's just a brilliant, new life. And, when we can open up our minds and open up our hearts to do what's best for these kids, just changes our world, but changes theirs too.
Yeah. And your story, there are several stories that are in the book where, as parents, you're sharing what you learned from your own children that helped you as an educator. And I think that the other component of that is anybody who's reading this, educators that read this might see students in their classroom that need that support. And for people who aren't in education, hopefully they pick up the book and read it and realize, we are invested in your kids. We want to support, we're going to do whatever it takes. Like you just said, you want to learn under my desk? Fine. I've done that with some students in my classroom. You want to go sit on the floor? Okay. I'm not going to sit there with you because it's not really comfortable, but we're in this together. And I think, your stories, like everything that you're sharing, that's that theme. It's like, we are all in this together. And so thank you for sharing your story, which leads us to Desmond. Desmond, do you need a cue card? Do you need a cue card?
A huge cue card. I can definitely, I just need to push start. Let's go.
Should we poll the audience? Should we phone a friend? Or 50-50? Because I'm pulling out the who wants to be a millionaire right now?
I say all the above because I'm struggling right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, Desmond.
Well, Desmond, I'm super impressed with your commentary, and you've done a really good job of keeping up with everybody. But do you feel like when you're saying becoming a different teacher is best when you don't know it's going to happen, but do you feel like what you just said is kind of how you've been transformed?
Totally. Absolutely. Just starting from meeting all these fantastic educators on here, I'm growing as I'm listening. And that's how, if you don't know me, that's how I learn. I'm actively listening, and I put a bunch of comments on the main Facebook page, and I was like, wait, no one's getting them. So then I went in and I have double screens open, and I'm actively listening, and I feel upset when I don't have the correct spelling. Sorry, JC, you're going to see that comment eventually. And I don't have the correct spellings and all that stuff, but I absorb and I learn so much from you guys through social media and in turn through my students. So the toughest times I have in the classroom, or the most challenging observations and all these things I'm learning at every opportunity. So I don't know what I'm going to end up being, but I can honestly say every day I feel myself growing as an educator. So I am totally changing for the better. Every day I come in to teach, and I took a sabbatical or a leave when the pandemic started, but it pretty much has never stopped. And I know that my school isn't virtual, but as I talk now, I received an email from my HR director saying, okay, well, everyone's going to be screened as of coming back from the break, and it's just never ending. So I'm learning every day of what to do and to adequately prepare. And I bid my students farewell today by wishing them that their safety, their safety is super important. And as we're learning and growing every single day, I wish that I could teach them and guide them from their perspective, because I think every day that's what I'm trying to get to. I can talk about the changing and growing I've done just this week. There was a student who I think his level is really low in reading, and it's stuff that I just don't know. It's my first year teaching middle school. So as I'm going through Quizlet, and I teach computer science for reference, and I'm going through these concepts, and he is just like a deer in the headlights, but he's super respectful, not acting out, and just does not get bombing my quizzes. And so I set everyone up on their independent journeys, and I go and sit next to him, and he responds real well to icons. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to snatch icons that I think are very pivotal, and we're going to break those down. So I'm just reviewing basic icons like Chrome and Safari, and he's getting them, and he's like, and his confidence is building. But like, that's the baby steps. But just seeing learning that some educators don't stop and look to see that's going on is so instrumental, just for the educator, but also for the students, because they can't really graduate and get to the more complex things without those little boosts of confidence.
Yeah, and Desmond, I have to say that you didn't need me to give you any cue cards or anything, because what you just spoke to was the essence of what you wrote about in your book, which came down to which was about like the perception that you need to have this formal training, and that you're going to learn everything in those formal preparation things. And a lot of, I mean, you have that knowledge, but a lot of what we learn is that day to day, that constant like evolution of ourselves as educators. And it's not like classroom management techniques. I'm like, wait, I followed what the book said. It totally didn't work. Like, what am I doing? You know, like, but why is it not working? Why is it not responding? Like, because it's not textbook style. Like, it's things that you learn on the job, and then things change over time. So your story was basically about like, you thought that you had to have this formal training and this preparation, but really what it came down to is you needed to learn every single day from the people you surrounded yourself with your PLN, and learn about like classroom management by being in the classroom and learning with the students and building your skills and figuring out where you want to go. So you didn't need any of those helps. Yeah, you went right into it. So
well, I mean, I totally live it then, because man, oh man, this week was trying with half days here. I know all educators, administrators alike can totally testify, like half days are nightmares, and I can go on and on about it. But I mean, I've grown so much, and the students that I don't teach, I see everyone eventually throughout the school year, but I had a chance in not so good circumstances to experience and teach and learn from some students. And some of them who didn't even know me, just the way I interacted with them and I sat down with them and tried to do work with them, they saw a different side that I don't think they necessarily have seen from their current teachers. And while that's sad and my heart breaks a little, at the same time, like that still gives them hope that, you know what, like all of my failing grades aren't like for nothing. Like I'm gonna get through some assignments and I'm gonna learn, you know, so.
Right. Yeah, that's, wow. It's also quiet right now.
Yeah, this has been an amazing half hour. I just want to thank you. I did not contribute to the book, but I am really looking forward to reading the book. I do have the book, and well, I can't show it because it's on my Kindle, but you guys are amazing educators. It took a lot of courage to say things that, you know, are just so, they're kept in here in your heart. And a lot of times we're afraid to put them out there because you never know how people are going to respond. But like your son said, you know, like if it helps others, I think that is just courageous in itself. And your stories all touched me so much. And I know that I'm just one of many who can't wait to read all of your stories. Rachelle, thank you for doing this, pulling all of this together. You're an amazing writer. Everybody here is an amazing writer.
Yes,
and
they
I
are.
know, how many of you have your own books right now? Does everybody? Not yet, Desmond?
Not yet.
Well,
Actually, I said not me, but 2 are in my head, like they're bubbling. So I'm gonna keep hanging out with everyone over here.
Yeah, send the vibes. Yeah.
Well, here's how we're going to close it out. We thought about doing a game, but honestly, the conversation's a little too serious for me to start like being weird. So I don't want to go there. So we're just gonna, what I want to do is we'll start with Liv. And if you just want to, you know, tell us about a little bit about like the book that you have out. And if you want to drop a comment, you can, like how Desmond and Livia are doing it. But feel free to just, and you can pass if you don't want to. But if you want to have any last words, you can talk about your own book a little bit or whatever you want to say to anybody who's watching live or the replay. And as I say my final last words, thank you everybody who tuned in today. This community is amazing. And especially for the teachers who had to teach this week. Oh my goodness. My heart is
Today.
for you all. Yes. But Livia, if you have, we'll start with you. And if you want to, or actually, Rachelle, we'll start with you. Any last words? No. I take that all back. Livia, we're going to start with you and we're going to end with Rachelle. So after Desmond, Rachelle, you will have the final word. And that is my final word.
Oh, wait,
She's
you're muted.
Can't hear.
Sorry, I turned my head. First, I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity, and I just appreciate me being here with so many amazing educators, and just like what Pamela said, just like I'm geeking out too. And I just wanted to say, take care of yourselves, and this is an important time. We are the most important piece to supporting our students, and whatever it is you need for yourself, you have to discover it for yourself, right? So dig in, dive into what you need, what strengths you have, and to really learn who you are and why you do what you do. And I think that's the most important piece to taking care of ourselves, is we have to know ourselves first. And I can be found on any social media, most social media platforms at Livia Chan L. And anybody who's interested in writing, I am part of the Teach Better team as the digital content coordinator. So if you want to start blogging, contact me. And just wanted to say, bless you all.
I'm such a slacker, Livia. Now that we're like side by side, I'm so slacking in my Teach Better blogging. So I'm going to make that a New Year's resolution. It's hard to keep up with Rachelle's, busy footsteps. She has a zillion books out. I'm trying to catch up with her.
You're ahead of me. I'm
No,
pretty sure
She
you're
only
ahead
has
of me.
59 books out there.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. It's always fun to be a part of something bigger than yourself. So I love being able to contribute, and I appreciate that opportunity. You can find me at Dr. JC Maslick on Twitter, Instagram, I'm JC Maslick, Facebook, I'm JC Maslick. And I do have a couple books out. My latest one, I'll just give one quick plug because it's Christmas. If you're looking for a last minute gift, for a little curious kid in your house, I have a book out called it's 500 Fascinating Engineering Facts. And it's like gross stuff and crazy stuff and all full color pictures, and kids will really enjoy it. So if you're looking for a gift, you can always grab that. You can find me on Amazon.
All right. Brad.
I want to say thank you as well for this incredible opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to grow professionally as an individual, but also grow my professional connections with the likes of the incredible people that are on screen today. It's just wonderful. Rachelle, I also want to say how easy you made it to get excited, give us something to look forward to. Everyone at this time really, really struggling with all kinds of community and personal stress. We need something to look forward to. So you made it easy for all of us to celebrate this accomplishment, and bringing us into that process of recognition and celebration was truly memorable. You can find me. I'm a colleague of Liv's on the Teach Better team, so you can find me at teachbetter.com. You can find me on Twitter at BRAD_Hughes, HUGHES. I'm also the host of the Good News, Brad News podcast. And so I'd be delighted if you checked out one of those episodes and let me know what resonates with you. This has been a wonderful opportunity. I look forward to staying in touch with all of you. And thanks again. My book arrives tomorrow. Can't wait.
Hey, all right. Thank you, Brad. Desmond. Nothing?
Hi. I don't have anything. I'm excited just to be here, and I'm trying to feverishly write everyone's stuff down because I'm following you right after this, and we're gonna keep on discoursing. That's what we do. But happy holidays,
Sounds
everyone.
good.
Thank you, Rachelle.
All right. Bottom row. Jillian. I'm just like bottom row. I just like cuss at you. I figure just go in order.
Awesome. Well, thanks. It's really interesting just seeing all of these faces. And 2 years ago, my life was completely different, but because of so many of you, you guys are some of my nearest and dearest friends. So I'm just yeah, I'm just so excited just to be here and to just be in your presence. But you can find me at impartedjoy.com. I'm the chief optimistic originator of Imparted Joy LLC, and I am a children's book author, illustrator, and publisher. And I do blog and podcast as well. So, but everything you need, anything you need, anything you want to know about me is on Imparted Joy. So, thanks, you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Well, my thing is, I just want to say thank you. This has been such a delightful process. You've made it very easy, very exciting. My husband is just so over me constantly telling him about it. He's like, really? But I just want to say thank you for bringing together a panel of different mindsets. You don't really get a chance to read or hear a lot of things right now where administrators and teachers and directors can all be in the same platform and be respectful of one another. And respect each other's profession. So I want to thank you for that I felt very safe in this space today. I love being an administrator. I would not change it for the world. I think I'm a much better administrator because of my foundation. Just overall, just learning more about what it means to be a leader who loves on her staff. And I don't have a book out.
Not yet. Not yet.
I've been told to write about it, but I don't have a book out. But you can find me in Arlington, Texas, caring and loving on my staff, and being their biggest supporter. And you can find me here in my home, being the biggest fan for my. I'm a grandma now, so that boy is the delight of my life. But this has been fantastic. So I just want to say thank you for that and wish all of you guys a very, very Merry Christmas. And Rachelle, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say you all inspire me. And I only have a book coming out because of JC. We had a divine appointment, and honestly, she really helped me. And that's the power of community, because really we were kind of strangers. And JC, you just do not know how much you helped me.
Oh.
And then Livia also endorsed my book, so I'm so grateful for that. But you all inspire me. I follow you all on Twitter, and so you really all inspire me. But I do have a book coming out. It should be available the end of this month for pre-sale. It's titled Be Their Warrior. It has 3 parts: culture, community, and being strong. Culture is creating the environment for safe spaces and how you do that. And it's broken down with real life stories that are relatable and doable strategies. And those doable strategies are also a tribute to JC, because she told me nobody wants to read it if they can't implement it now. And she just helped me grow so much. And there really are doable strategies. The second part is all about relationships with your students, relationships with your peers, their peers, families, and the community, and how to implement that. And then the book ends really where it should begin, and that's starting strong, and that's with yourself and the steps you take. Because like we've all said, if we're not filled up and complete, and it's more than self-care, it's a mindset. It's part of your routines and rhythms. But anyway, as you can tell, I'm super excited about it because I think it brings hope. And not just hope, it brings help, because there are strategies people can follow. So that's coming out. You can connect with me on my website, Pam Hall, the numeral 2, inspire.com. And I send out twice a month inspiration to your inbox. So I'd love for you to join our community. And thank you again, Rachelle, and all of you.
Thank you. And Debbie.
I guess last but not least, besides you, I just have to say that a little over a year ago, I was part of a thing with Tim Cavey, and I think you and Jillian were there, and you wrote something telling me you knew I had a book in me and that I could write a book. Yep. And look what's here.
I know.
My book came out on my birthday.
Yep.
And Jillian is my accountability partner, and she's been a great support. And I write for Liv, and there's just so many amazing people here, and I really appreciate you including me in this project. And you've just always amplified the voices of other educators, whether it's through blogs or through your books. And I'm just really honored to be part of this. And I think I'm going to get to finally meet you at FATC, right?
Yes, I know. It's like how many years some of us have known each other, and it's like I've never gotten to see you in person, but you forget that that's never happened because we see each other like this and we're having conversations. So you're like, you're a real person. So yes, like 1 month from now, and that will be great. So thank you.
I feel like I'm going to get to meet so many people I've wanted to meet for so long. But yeah, thank you so much for this. And you can find me at Tannenbaum Tech, pretty much on all social media.
Yeah, it's oh my gosh, I'm like trying to keep up with all the bouncing back around. Oh, there we go. I missed one. Mel got it. So thank you for all joining in. Livia, thank you for being the guest for today, our last official guest of 2021. Which I can't believe the year is almost over, but we don't have a show Friday because it'll be Christmas Eve for those that are celebrating. And then next week, people need to take a break. We will be back. Let's see. January the 7th. I had to think. January the 7th, we'll be back with our guest. Let's see, Chris Nesi. If anybody knows Chris Nesi, podcast House of Ed Tech, he will be on January the 7th. And we hope that everybody has a fantastic break. If you are joining us, if you have joined us now today, Melody is awesome. And I love her to pieces. And I have had a blast with her in this community. So I don't know where I'd be without her because she's awesome. So just so she knows that I can see her below and she's smiling. So nobody else could see her and she's giving me the heart. But anyway, thank you all for joining in and spending this time with me and with everybody else today and for sharing your stories in the book, which I'm going to hold it up one more time. So if you want to get a copy of the book. Hey, there you go. Yours doesn't have the not for resale. So that's even better. And yours has page numbers. My first proof copy only had a few page numbers, but what I do love about it has everybody's pictures in the back of the book. So check it out. Thank you all for joining in. Look forward to connecting with you all, and we will see you. What my students hate when I say next year, 2022. Have great holiday break and rest, everybody. We'll see ya.